This is Sheriff Knezovich with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Over the last several months, there's been a lot of discussion about the police reforms passed by the Washington State legislators. I get a question at least once a week, if not once a day, about police reforms. Why these reforms were passed. Well, we're just going to deal with the why today. We're not going to go into what the reforms were. Let's just talk about the why. And behind me on this screen is the why. Because politicians believed activists in that your law enforcement was committing violence against our citizens. Because that's what the mention of police violence means, folks. Police violence was created by activists, that term. Well, what does it mean? Well, it means that if we respond to something, we being law enforcement respond to something, we only rush in, escalate things, beat, shoot, and kill people. That's what they say we do. I can tell you that is not true. My question for these folks and our representatives and senators of the state of Washington is, when do you want to follow the science of police use of force in the United States? Because you will not find any of that in there. As a matter of fact, what you'll find is excessive use of force in the United States, excessive police use of force in the United States happens at a statistical rate that is not relevant, meaning you cannot assign good meaning to any of it because it happens so rarely. It is statistical insignificantly. So that's the truth. However, your elected leaders tend to believe differently. Because we have activist politicians, we have political activists, and we have a biased media that claim that when the police show up, we always rush in, escalate, beat, shoot, and kill people. That has been the mantra, quite frankly, in this country since August of 2014. And it's not true. They paint all of us with the same brush. Washington legislature changed our laws based on an event that happened 1,500 miles away from us. Even in the state where that event happened, they didn't take these type of actions. That event, the death of George Floyd. That is why. However, scenes like this are also the reason why. Scenes like this feed that fire, feed that false narrative. And we just saw it play out just recently. This is what, a week or so ago. What they did, when I say they, I mean our politicians, our leaders, the leader of the free world, what he did in reference to this was unconscionable. What our vice president said about this was unconscionable. What our media did with this, I don't even have the proper word for it. I have never been this disgusted with our national leadership, our national media. I never thought I could get to a new low. Guess what? This one took me to a new low. Because this is what our president said. And he did the same thing the president he served under as vice president did He made a statement without knowing the facts. He actually threatened the Border Patrol agents without any facts. Those people will pay. That's what he said. The Biden administration also said no more using horses on the border. I do not understand how a president of the United States can make these type of statements without any basis of any knowledge of what actually happened. But I shouldn't say that because I watched President Obama do the same thing. Then you had senators such as Senator Merkley tweet this type of stuff out. This type of things, these are the reasons you end up with bad law. False narratives make bad law. And what did the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security say? Well, he, without knowing all the facts, made these statements. Troubled by the images of his Border Patrol agents confronting migrants. He said he was horrified by what he saw. I can't fathom, as a leader, I cannot fathom doing that without knowing exactly all the details. I cannot fathom this. So I have some suggestions for the Homeland Security Secretary. One, grow a spine. You need to stand up for your Border Patrol agents. They were doing their job. You need to bring those horses back because horses have been used in crowd control in the major cities of this nation for decades. They are a vital tool. You need to stop being a political wonk and do your job and secure our borders. And quite frankly, if you have any questions about how to get this done, please see suggestion number 1. I cannot believe that you as a leader did and said the things you said. That is not leadership. And that goes all the way up the chain from you to the president. That was not leadership. Because here's the truth. Those Border Patrol agents did not use whips in confronting the illegal aliens they were dealing with. Because that's what they were. They're illegal aliens, folks. America, you're being brainwashed. When the left wants you to start feeling differently about something, they change the name of it and they normalize it. They do it very effectively. And so does the right. They're not migrants. As a grandson of an immigrant, I can tell you they're not migrants. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, several of my family members came from the old country, and they did it right. These people are illegal aliens. And here's what the reporter who took that photograph had to say. The reporter who took that photograph said that those individuals were trying to run around the horses. The Border Patrol agents were trying to stop them. And quite frankly, the most important part is that last sentence, I never saw them whip anyone. By the way, that is a rein. It's used to control the direction the horse goes. As a kid that grew up on horseback, I can tell you what that is. But I can tell you what has been done here is just totally wrong. The way the media and the way our politicians frame this is totally wrong. This man was doing his job. And that's all he was doing. This one summed it up the best for me in reference to this whole situation. Again, that's not a whip, it's a rein. That gentleman on that horse is not the villain. He's doing his job. This individual is not a victim. He's a criminal. He's a lawbreaker. He's an illegal alien. Anytime you come into a country without the proper paperwork or without the proper process, you're doing it illegally. Quite frankly, if Nancy Pelosi and company do not like what's going on, then they need to change the law that they enacted. And you don't see them running out to do that, do you? Why? Because they know the majority of the American people don't want this stuff to happen. So if you don't want to enforce our laws, Speaker Pelosi, then step down. Because I truly believe you should be held accountable and you should be removed from office for obstruction of justice. Because you are not enforcing this nation's laws. And what the media did, they did and they used this to misinform you, the American people. That's what your media did. And it happens all the time, folks. These are two posts, different years. Mr. Trump does this often. On this one, he mentions hands up, don't shoot, because he's still portraying the image that Officer Wilson shot Michael Brown with his hands up. That did not happen. And this is why I can definitively say this. Not just this article, I've read the reports that this article refers to. Michael Brown did not have his hands up. Michael Brown assaulted that police officer. At one point had that police officer's gun. He took his gun away from him, had it pointed at his belly. The officer was able to pry it away from his belly, and the first round went into the car door. How many of you really understand what happened there? Michael Brown assaulted the police officer, took his gun away. Police officer was able to get his gun back. Police officer went after Michael Brown. After Michael Brown started to walk away, Michael Brown turned on that police officer, growled, and charged him, reminding you that Michael Brown had already taken that officer's gun away from him once. It is then that the police officer shot Michael Brown as he was charging at him. That is the fact. That is why this reporter who started the mantra, hands up, don't shoot, had to backtrack this. And I give him great credit for doing that, having the guts to do this. And that's why he says that there are two uncomfortable truths. Michael Brown never surrendered with his hands up, and Officer Wilson was justified in shooting Michael Brown. That's what the DOJ found. I would remind you, a DOJ headed by the Obama administration. This is what is a result of that. We have these type of laws passed because bad reporting from the media that has never been corrected This witness just simply wanted to be part of something, so he lied to the FBI. So you ask me why we had these reforms passed. And I will once again point to you that we have activist politicians, political activists, and a biased media that maintain and push this false narrative. A narrative that is not true. Your police officers, when they show up, they tend to de-escalate things. 99% of the time, they de-escalate things. De-escalation is nothing new, folks. Contrary to what the activists and the media has tried to convince you, for 38 years, the company has been teaching what they called verbal judo, de-escalation techniques. I've been in this business for 32 years. For 32 years, I have seen and have gone to de-escalation training. Matter of fact, the whole thing that we do is based on that. You are being lied to by these people, and as a result, you have these type of laws that are being passed, and as a result, you are seeing, because of this narrative, this is the number of police officers that worked in the United States from 2008 to 2018. 2016, you had many police officers shot and killed. Dallas, Baton Rouge, all killed by people that were radicalized by the hate and the race hate that is being preached in this nation right now. They died because of that. And you had a massive drop-off in the number of law enforcement officers. I wonder what this graph looks like come 2022, because you are seeing record numbers of police officers leave or retire from this profession. Since 2020, it has increased 48%. This is one of the fallouts for this type of false narrative. Here's the other one. 30% spike in violent crime. 30%. The FBI says they have never seen this type of spike in the 60 years they've been keeping this data. You wonder why things are getting violent? One, a false narrative that is being driven, and it is causing you to lose faith in your government institutions. Your police officers are not doing what they claim. As I stated at the beginning, I never thought that I would be saying that, this one, a new low, because I was already convinced that they couldn't go lower. They have. Now they are passing laws that have put all of you in danger. Again, I mentioned I'm on the board of Frontier Behavior. I received a briefing about the status of our mental health system and the interactions that are going on. That briefing was chilling. The number of people that are no longer getting the proper care because law enforcement has basically been handcuffed and can no longer go and protect our mental health co-workers. Something has to change here. So the next time any of you wonder, I hope this leaves no doubt in your mind as to why these type of bills passed. And I hope that you start contemplating what it looks like if this type of false narrative continues. This is Sheriff Knezovich. Have a good day.